And we're live. Hello and welcome to, what is this? The 22nd episode? We're in the 20s now. Welcome to another episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm your host, Maddie Allen, with co-host, the validator himself, David Feeder, and special guest, Hexy B.
Thank you for having me, boys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you. Definitely. I've been seeing you doing a lot of the circuits.
Oh, yeah. Been out and about, man. Busy guy. Never streamed so much in my life. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Had some good conversations with some really good people. I prefer talking to the HEX guys because they're smart enough to understand what we're talking about here. But, you know, they will need educating some way, somehow. Hopefully I can assist in some small way to do that.
Right on, right on. So I guess we can get into your project and everything, but first let's talk about, what's going on in the world. And in the world of crypto, there's been a lot of news this week. There's been stuff going on inside the HEX community and outside. David will be able to update us here a little bit later about Travon's new coin that's been released, more token. Then we had, what was it? The Office of Foreign Asset Controls or whatever, trying to shut down Tornado Cash. What are some hot takes on that? Because that's big news this week.
Yeah. Well, do you want to start with the Tornado Cash? I mean, right off the bat, shout out to Richard Hart during the Tornado Cash ceremony. And before they took down the website, it was there. He actually, I think he signed a message, and then everybody, and so did Vitalik and a bunch of other people, and all those messages helped make the first private key for Tornado Cash in a key signing ceremony. So Richard was there for that and did it. Yeah, his name was on the website. Yeah. So Richard's an OG who was there when it was born, and it was a great tool for privacy. It was a coin mixer for Ethereum, and then I think they started doing other ERC20s. And what the Office of, was it OFAC is the acronym?
Yeah, OFAC.
This is preposterous, like what they've done. This is absolutely ridiculous. Good luck sanctioning a piece of code in a smart contract. Now they've just given all the people who want the privacy. Now it's gonna get forked, and there's gonna be multiple front ends. So now that it's come under attack, it's gonna become even stronger than before, and now we'll have even more choices for privacy. So it's like a Hydra. Like, they can't stop this. Like, they can't stop this open source code. So they can try. So I'm kind of laughing, but it is just, it's not good. It's not good.
The headline was terrifying, man. Like, we've the way I read it initially was like, we've turned off all the USDC that's ever ran through Tornado Cash. And I was like, what? Like, obviously it's not that. It was just like what was locked into the contract at the time. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead, Maddie. I'm not sure the specifics on what they did with the USDC or not.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're sending USDC, which can be turned off, to something that is semi-sketch in the first place, like, having privacy, it's right, I believe in. I was operating under the assumption that Tornado Cash was illegal for people in the United States based on my reading of the laws early on. And then when I was teaching my course on chain analysis, somebody actually corrected me, and I did an update to my knowledge, like, seriously, just 2 weeks ago. And that's when I learned, like, Tornado Cash was not illegal. Now I have to update my worldview yet again because it's being sanctioned. And so it's one of those things. Coin mixing, which used to be popular in Bitcoin, it's something that lots of people, lots of us did before that was made illegal. And then Tornado Cash is kind of a different way around that. But if you're, it's one thing to participate with ETH or something that is not having an on and off switch so much as USDC. So first of all, like, if you're smart enough to use Tornado Cash, but you're not smart enough to, like, convert your USDC to ETH and then use Tornado Cash and then convert it back to USDC, then you didn't do so well in this situation, right? And so, yeah, so I mean, there's a lot at play here in terms of educating people now, right? Because it was something like, how many addresses got shut off or whatever? Less than 100, something like that. But those were, it's like first they came for somebody else, and then they came for me, and there's nobody left to speak up for me, is like the old saying. And so, that's kind of one of those situations where when people are denied the right of privacy, and when the government is coming after these freedoms that are important, I think it is something that we should speak out on, even if we're not advocating for people to use funds that are stolen and that sort of thing. It's a complicated issue, but that's the type of things that we like to talk about here on Game Theory Gang, and I think that the audience likes to hear is the more complex takes on these kinds of things. Because if you read any of the mainstream articles, if you read the Twitter threads, you probably got scared from this, and you probably got a little bit of misinformation, but in general, the headlines are partially true. I mean, what did you guys really hear? Like, how does this affect you?
There's been people like DMing me in Telegram angrily saying, like, because I've always said US dollar coin is better than Tether. And even right now, I still think it is. Like, and I would defend US dollar coin. We know it has admin keys. It's run by a bank that has dollars in a bank account. And then those are Federal Reserve notes owned by the Federal Reserve. So, like,
that's why we like it, because there was an audit. Because it's backed.
And then I've heard the whole algorithmic stablecoin argument, and I'm going to pick on liquid loans again, but even like USDL in the future, you can only redeem that for Pulse. You can't redeem that for $1. I can't put that on my Coinbase debit card and literally go to the store and buy groceries with it, but I can with US dollar coin. So like that's the product. That's what they're really selling, is that bank to crypto interoperability of USDC. Mm-hmm. And if you're not down with that, then don't use their product. Like avoid it. Use DAI or Tether if you want. I don't. We know how I feel about Tether. I think it's not backed by anything, which is really high risk. So,
we've had some good discussions about that on this. Yeah. You were right, in my opinion. Like I used to argue that Tether was backed, and maybe it was at one point, but now I think it's less likely to be fully backed. And yeah, so I mean, if crypto was invented to be censorship resistant, but also be highly volatile, then of course people are going to want the best of all worlds. They're going to want censorship resistance and price stability. And it's not clear that exactly exists. Although we do see the sacrifice address for PulseChain and PulseX is holding, what is it, $600-700 million of DAI stablecoin. And that's a whole rabbit hole that you could fall in for weeks and weeks, reading all the documentation that exists for DAI. It's extremely complex, but it is basically like a basket of different cryptos, and is more censorship resistant than the other stables. We would think under most circumstances that would be true. So that's relevant, right, to the whole discussion.
And DAI works if you're never going to like redeem it for $1, right? Because I don't think a bank will take it. Like, how do you turn that directly into fiat? Well, I mean, Coinbase accepts it, and most exchanges accept it, I guess. So that is an option too. It is partially backed by USDC and Tether and Ethereum. So yeah, as part of that basket. So they're all kind of intertwined together. This is all like a incestuous banking relationship,
Yeah, the whole thing with stablecoins is kind of like, I mean, I'm kind of glad that this has happened, because it's again brought attention to the fact that stable coins they can be a little bit risky. I mean, we've seen the was it not Luna, Celsius, was it? What one of these two had a stable coin that got wrecked recently? I
That
think
was
it was
Luna.
Luna.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Luna. And people are holding stable coins because they want to be risk off, and then the stable coin goes to zero. It's like, what do you do? I was gonna, you guys are smart guys. Like, what do you recommend? I mean, at
so
this point,
there's different types of risk, right? You have risk of censorship, right, where they turn off your account. You have risk of price volatility, where it loses its peg for other reasons other than the government getting involved, right? And then, I mean, when you're talking about mixing coins, the game theory there is kind of interesting because it's like, sure, you could have a big pool of people who all like privacy and aren't doing anything wrong, but the odds are that you're mixing your coins with people who are doing way worse things than you are. And so you're kind of like sacrificing the, basically like the history of your coins. You're like, you are kind of like facilitating, not necessarily money laundering, but you're facilitating people who have a need for privacy, and even though privacy is a human right, it's like, you're mixing good coins with bad coins basically, and it should be built into the base layer, so that's not even an issue. Look, I almost became a streamer for Mimblewimble coin. Like,
what the hell is Mimblewimble coin?
It was like, it was this other coin that was paying out like dividends, kind of like HEX does. And I found it because of doing Bitcoin free claims and stuff around the same time I found HEX. And what I realized though, part of, a crucial part of the game theory of privacy coins is nobody wants to stand up for them because people who like privacy don't like promoting things publicly. So it's really hard to build trust as a broadcaster if you don't want to broadcast, right? And so even though like the founder of Mimblewimble coin, like who was the dev, who was the front man, like all in one, like he took his entire dev wallet, like all of the coins that, like it was like the OA for Mimblewimble coin, and like surprise airdropped it to all the people who didn't sell in like the first year or something. So like,
wow,
that was totally unexpected. And, it's just an example of like somebody being super altruistic, and it still didn't take, even with that good of a situation, it still didn't take because privacy people don't want to be on record. And so how are you going to get traction with that? I think it's still an outstanding question. But I guess to get back to your point of like, what's somebody supposed to do, practically speaking, in a world where the privacy rules are changing and where the risk profiles change? I mean, I would say you want to understand what risks you're taking, right? And so, it's ironic that we say do your own research, and then there's like marketing teams of people to deceive you because they're getting paid off by Celsius. They're getting paid off by all these things that fail. They have pretty good marketing budgets, but I think that's why for us, we're in a unique position in HEX because we're all left standing. And we had 120 streamers participate in the HEX conference online. Like, HEX is building its reputation, I would say. And so that's, and it's people who can tune in for multiple hour live streams and who are getting more educated. So the more educated people can be about what risks you're taking. For me, I used to keep all my dry powder in USDC, and then I saw Celsius and Luna go down, and David and I stream about, what are the risks for Tether? What are the risks for USDC? We've touched on those things. I'll just be really honest. Like right now, I put my dry powder like back into HEX.
Right now, yeah, it's a pretty good time to do it, isn't it?
It's super important to just, you have to have enough dry powder that you're not even playing around with, you know, and put that in your bank and like have a good relationship with your bankers. Like I go into my local bank branch and I talk to them, you know, I'm like friendly and they know who I am, right? Because that's part of the game is they have to know their customer and then they approve, you know, they approve people taking out more than $1,000 in cash or, you know, making large purchases, having, you know, money coming into the bank account. They have to, you know, somebody has to monitor that. And so if you can get at the local level, you know, and maybe what you'll find is you try to get friendly with your bankers and they suck. And then you have to try to go find other people. But at the end of the day, it's going to be different in every location. But that, I mean, that's, you know, I got to tell you the best advice, you know, the best advice is to understand the game you're playing and then just play it well. You know, I go into the bank manager's office and ask a bunch of questions, you know, and I explain like who I am and what I do and all these things. Like they're rooting me on basically, you know, like they think it's cool. But you know, it's you have to find the right people to have those relationships in the crazy fiat world that we're living in right now.
Yep.
That's an interesting take on it. I was actually thinking I do all my banking on my phone. They don't have a physical branch.
Me too, mate. I do basically everything on my phone. I didn't think about like that. Actually, to be fair, in the UK, they're basically shutting all the branches down now. Like there used to be the bank that I'm with, there used to be about 6 or 7 of them in my city, and now there's one. But it's actually nowhere near where I live. It's like the far side of the city, and they're really like pushing customers to online banking and stuff now. So it's an interesting point there, but I've noticed it's with almost all the banks actually in the city. There used to be loads of them, and they're all just kind of closing down. It's weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, not everybody can do that. Not everybody can have a personal banking relationship, and that's still okay. You know, I would say another thing I do is, you know, I just plan ahead, you know, like if I'm, you know, living off my interest or my airdrops or whatever, you know, don't try to withdraw all the money all at once. And, but then there's also something called structuring, which is semi-illegal, which is like, you can't know what the limits are to like raise red flags and then do just below that amount. So let's just use cash as an example, but crypto is treated very similarly. So like in the US, there's laws that say that if you do a transaction more than $10,000, the bank has to like look into it a little bit. And, you know, that might just mean that they kind of have an automatic system that audits it. But it also, you know, if somebody's doing a bunch of transactions, like $9,900 everywhere, you know, like, you know, multiple times, then that's going to raise flags as well. So it's, but you know, at the end of the day, you're still allowed to move more. You're allowed to move the money, and it's fine. What they want to know is that it didn't come from money laundering or terrorist financing. There's a series of laws called AML KYC. So it's like anti-money laundering, know your customer. And, you know, you can read up on this stuff. You can search online and you can find out like what's going to raise a red flag. For example, let me see. I was aware of a hypothetical situation once where people who were using Cash App sending to, let's say, like a gambling website that wasn't, wasn't legal in the US, you know, like that is something that would raise a red flag, and you could get like your Cash App turned off, like, and it's gone. And it's gone.
Mental.
And so just like educate yourself on the laws and think, kind of think ahead, think long term, and eventually crypto will be accepted in more retail situations, and eventually we'll have privacy, and eventually, we'll all be more educated and have better banking relationships. But at the end of the day, I still think that a lot of banks operate in pretty good faith, even though it is like an outrage that you have to ask permission for your own money. It's just a complex issue that practically, you just have to think ahead a little bit. And,
yeah.
So what other questions do you guys have about all of that?
I haven't got a question, but I got one point. Like, I know, for example, in the UK, Coinbase have to dox you if you have more than £5,000 go through it at any point in a 12-month period. So even if it's literally, I don't know, $2,500 in, $2,500 out, they would have to dox you, even if it's kind of coming from the same address. You've just put money in an Ethereum address and then put it back in. The total amount gone in is $5,000 pounds even. So they would automatically dox you to the government for doing it. So yeah, these laws are getting a little bit more because they're not ready for crypto as such. Like, they're very behind as to like what's going on technology wise. So yeah, we're going to see a lot more stuff like this coming in the future, I think. So it's good. It's good that we're here and talking about it in this sort of way, and our community is going to be like highly educated, because most people just don't have a clue. Like, even the tax system over here is like terrible. If you say you make a gain in Bitcoin 1 year, on paper you've made capital gains, you have to pay tax on it on your next cycle. But then if the value goes down by like 90%, you still owe the same amount of tax for that, even if you never sold. And it's so crazy.
Yeah. And the tax issue, that's an important one. I know that some Hexicans might be enticed to pay 8%, to other people to manage their tax situation. In my experience, like, you can educate yourself, and what else are you going to do if you like are in that good of a situation? Then really, I'm not paying it. Like, I do it myself. And I think it's fun to just learn about all the, all the ways that you can do things legally with taxes and still get a good deal. For me, I pay my taxes, long-term capital gains. It's not that bad. I mean, I just paid my taxes ahead of time for this year. And if there's money left over, then I get that back, but at least I can survive a bear market better that way. Just that's all I can say is, like, plan ahead. If you have HEX and you have stakes, that's another reason to stake for longer than a year, because then you're going to have a much lower tax rate. It's going to be, 20% instead of 25 to 35%. So
yeah,
might as well.
That's at least a quasi decent. I mean, all tax is theft. Let's just say that first and foremost.
Yeah.
Our founding fathers here in the United States went to war over 3% tax on tea. They started killing people. So the fact that we're paying 33% today to a Yankee like me is ridiculous, right? Like, it boils my blood. But I will say, as far as like crypto goes and HEX, what you just said, if you stake for a year or longer, you do pay less tax when you sell it later, right? So you get more coins and then you pay less tax. So yeah, I think like staking for at least a year minimum, good idea.
Yep. I did my first 1 year stake came out the other week, and I was at a loss on it. So.
Okay.
But it's okay. It's okay.
That's
1 year is not really long enough, is it?
Yeah,
like,
just re-roll it, right?
Yeah.
If it's less than what it started, just add to the stack and re-roll it.
Yeah. So
Eventually I'm going to put out probably like a introductory class and maybe like a 101 and a 201 class on taxes, just because I don't want people to have to pay 8% for something that we can all learn for free. And I need to make sure that it's strictly educational and not tax advice. Because look, I'm not going to back you up. Like, it's not my problem if you guys do your taxes wrong or you listen to something and assume something about your situation. Everybody's in a different jurisdiction, has different rules. There is something in the United States called tax loss harvesting that is kind of cool, that you can do if you're in a bear market. Basically, at the end of the year, you and you have to educate yourself, but the way that it works is you might like sell your liquid coins at a loss and then buy them back a couple days later. And then you can like basically write off that as a loss and pay less taxes. And then you'll just owe more later on. And so it's basically a situation where you're kind of lowering your cost basis in a way. And so you're still going to pay taxes on those gains if they come in the future, but you're also hedging your bet if you don't think the price is going to go up again later. Like basically in 2018, 2019, I was like, Bitcoin went down a lot. I'm down a lot. Like, I don't want to pay tons of taxes right now. So, I might as well write it off as a loss and then come back later and pay more taxes. And that's what I did. So there's lots of interesting things you can learn if you're so inclined. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, if you want to keep using the financial system, you definitely have to play by the rules. And then maybe you want to work to change the rules. And that's a thing. You can lobby, you can move, right? There's different ways that people can kind of optimize their situation. A lot of Hexicans have moved to not a lot, but like, a decent amount of Hexicans have moved to Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, Puerto Rico. Yeah. If it wasn't for those hurricanes, man, I would probably do it too. It's just every summer, in like end of summer, hurricanes come and it washes your house away. And then you got to rebuild another one next year. It's like, oh man, if it wasn't for that, I'd go to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, a lot of the UK guys are moving to Portugal because it's very favorable tax laws over there and stuff. Yeah. It's a bit closer than Puerto Rico. It's only 2 hours away on a plane from where I live. It's pretty good.
There you go.
So, yeah. Loads of people being nomads, living out the country for like 3/4 of the year, or I can't remember the exact time frame on it, but yeah, like 3/4 of the year. If they're out the country, they don't have to pay taxes anymore. It's brilliant. You just go on vacation.
There you go.
Another way that people can try to have the best of both worlds, something that I practice, is there are ways to go about having more anonymity or pseudo anonymity in crypto, while making sure that your bank isn't sketched out. So for me, if I'm paying my taxes and I'm playing by the rules, then I definitely don't want to screw myself by by trying to add extra privacy where I don't need it or where it's going to hurt me, right? Because that's what the rules say, is like, if you have too much privacy and you're mixing coins with people who are known criminals, then that reflects poorly on you. And I believe this should change. Like, I care about privacy. I also care about like living off crypto and like having fiat off ramps for now. I think that in the future, we're going to have a lot of solutions, but for now, it's important to be honest with you about where we are in the system. And, so people who take my chain analysis 101 course for free will know more, you'll be able to look at your own accounts and say, oh, cool, I never let my address like be known to the public. So that gives me the type of privacy that I'm looking for, because what are legitimate reasons for privacy? Like Eric Wall was on Wolf of Wall Street the other day talking about how his friend got jacked, like, mugged and, beat up in his own home because people knew that he had millions and millions of dollars of crypto. So, if you're a streamer or something, don't give your addresses out. Like, don't tell people. use better security that doesn't rely on privacy as well. So like Shamir's secret sharing method, if somebody comes for me, I don't have all the words to my seed words. Like, sorry, looks like we're going on a road trip around the country to recreate these these private seeds, right? And so you can use cold storage as, look, that saves me from selling, and it saves me from getting mugged. So like, that should be part of the plan, I think, for a lot of people who are, exposing themselves as a streamer, so that's, those are other factors to consider for now.
Yeah. My only concern with the Shamir's secret phrase is if once they start, once they show up and they're hassling you, you know what I mean? It might be a long car ride in a trunk. So
yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take my stand. I'd rather stand my ground than end up in a trunk. But
yeah, I mean, but it would be easier for them to just hack somebody online, like way easier. So
or pretend to be tech support and ask for people's seed words.
Yeah.
That's happens every couple minutes, every 60 seconds. That's happening online. So
we've all had the weird DMs from the girls in crypto when there are no girls in crypto.
Exactly.
That's
yes. Yeah.
I've noticed an uptick just on Twitter recently of accounts that look more real, that are liking, following, doing stuff like that. So people need to be very careful. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some complaints in chat that my camera is like not very good, so I'm just going to leave and rejoin if that's okay.
I thought it was part of your ambiance of.
It looks good on the screen here, but then I look on there and it's all fucked. Like,
all right, yeah, go ahead.
Just give me a sec.
And then there were two.
I was going to say it could be the internet too. The server's probably here and he's streaming from over there. So it's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to fix that.
Perhaps. Yeah. So I mean, Tornado Cash, like, yeah. I mean, I feel bad for anybody who got mixed up in that, who, was not doing bad things in the world. I mean, I also heard that the people who got banned, who got on the sanction list, just started sending the tainted crypto to a bunch of like known wallets, like Coinbase got it, Jimmy Fallon, and they said like his name is now Jimmy Fallon because you can't stop people from sending you tainted coins.
Yeah.
Other than not having a public address. So I think that's kind of fascinating. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, that's just more funny. Yeah, that they dusted a whole bunch of people with like 0.1 ETH. So that's hysterical. Because then what are they going to do? They're going to ban all these people? No, it's their. Yeah, that's not going to be a problem. And the Ethereum part still works, right? Ethereum, or I was going to say, I think Coinbase, to my knowledge, might still accept Ethereum coming in that touched Tornado Cash. This whole hubbub is really about the USDC portion. That's like they took the action.
I read reports that were false, that were over exaggerating the effects on people. So like everybody keep that in mind, that like when something like this happens, you can't necessarily trust everything you read on the rumor mill in Twitter.
Yeah. But this is part one. Like this is, their first step. It's like the government's actually starting to realize what's going on. I mean, I can't believe whatever that office is like had half a brain to even find the Tornado Cash contracts. Like, good for you guys. Wow. Like, I didn't even know they knew what Etherscan was. So
yeah,
sadly, they probably have crypto nerds on their payroll that are helping them do this kind of stuff. So whoever those guys are, those are the real bad guys.
Shame on you.
Yeah, those are the real, the crypto bros that are helping the government. Like, those are the guys that suck.
Yeah.
Is that any better? I don't think it is.
A little bit. It is. It is a little bit better.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks fine to me on my screen here, but I just looked on the actual thing, and it does look a bit better. But I don't know what's going on with that, man. My shirt's glowing. Can you see that?
Looks good.
Yeah. All right. I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it.
Nice shirt you got there. Some custom threads.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I took a load down to the meetup on Saturday and gave them out to people who I know like it, you know. So I didn't just give them to people who hate it. Or anything like
I mean, if you were streaming in 8K, I would have questions about your, ability to represent the poor plebs. But can you tell us about your meetup? Because I would love to hear about that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So this was just a Hexagon meetup with Ameo Hayes. If you know him, he's the guy who sorted out the sponsorship for Jay Lund. I think he's a Muay Thai fighter. So he was over in London, and Your Excellence sorted out a meetup. So yeah, we went down. We had a lot of fun. Drank a little bit too much, as per, but yeah, it was good seeing all, like, a lot of these UK guys are very familiar to me now. I've known them for what feels like forever, and we've met each other loads and loads and loads of times. So yeah, it's just a good laugh. Everyone's still in good spirits and all of that. We're all happy that the price looks to be improving, and yeah, it's just like group therapy sessions, man. Bear market times. But yeah, a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
We got a great community out here. Actually, quick shout out. If any UK Hexicans are not in our Telegram group, you should join t.me/hex_UK and connect with your people, because there's a lot of us. I think there's about 900 people in the group or something like that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's cool. A great time with those guys. But yeah, I think we've got
how many people came out?
Oh, there must have been 20 to 30 people at least, something like that.
That's like the perfect size. That's dope.
Yeah. We always do it in a Spoonies as well. I don't know if you guys will know Weatherspoons, but it's just like, for London, Spoonies is the place because it's the same price across the country, right? So you're not paying like £7 a pint, you're paying like £3 a pint, like normal. You know? So when guys like me go to London, I'm always just like, oh God, how much? Everything's so expensive.
How much is it there?
London will be like £7 or £8 a pint sometimes, depending on where you go. But like everywhere else in the UK, it's like £3. So yeah, man, big difference.
I'll say even £5. I could do £5 for a pint of beer any day, like that, if it's good, right? Like that's,
yeah,
I could handle that.
I mean, I'm the least British when it comes to beer because I genuinely don't like it at all. I'm all about spirits, or I actually like wine now. I think it's because I'm getting older. I just quite enjoy a glass of wine.
Too. You like cider, right? Hard cider?
Yeah, I like cider. Cider's okay, but that's like fruity beer, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's basically beer out of apples. Yeah.
Yeah, or blackcurrants. What about you guys? Do you guys have a preference? Matty, I don't think I've ever seen you drink anything, sir.
Yeah, I mean, from time to time, I used to be a substance abuse counselor, and so I try not to advertise my own vices too bad, but
okay.
I've never had a problem with drinking, but I have fun. I have fun when I'm around people. Cool.
What about you, D-Feb? What's your thing?
Oh, I mean, I love the drink. Yeah, I drink too much, way too much. So
is that the Irish coming through in you or something?
Yeah, I'm actually English. I'm of English descent. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I live in New England in the United States. So yeah, I'm a Yankee. So yeah, I drink.
I think I just assumed your nationality, didn't I, or heritage?
Yeah. Actually, it's crazy. My great grandfather, with 19 greats in front of it, was King Edward IV of England. Crazy. Yeah, my dad found that out on Ancestry.com. I had no idea. He did the whole Ancestry thing, and it's like generations back, and there was like pirates in between, and like all kinds of weird stuff. So yeah, I like to drink. But
we have royalty in our midst.
Yeah, he's gonna get the call one day when
There's no. There's no royalty in the United States. You're
the heir to the throne, mate.
No.
We need to get you over to England.
But I will say I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 2 weeks, and I've actually been doing, it's like day 3 or 4. I'm just doing a fruit and juice fast. So I'm losing a bunch of weight, feeling great, and I'm actually drinking fruits and veggies now. So
nice. Congrats.
The
behavior change is awesome.
Yeah, it's time to get healthy. We got to make it for those 555s, right? So I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah, dude, stack them on top of each other. Let's stay healthy for sure.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna get myself back down the gym tomorrow. Like, I've been saying this for weeks, but tomorrow I am actually gonna do it, and I'm gonna go. sign up to a new gym, and I'm going to start going every day. I have literally been saying this actually for months, that I'm going to get back in shape again. And yeah, I just kept putting it off and putting it off. But now I need to do it, man. I'm getting too unhealthy. So,
well, nice, dude. Yeah, definitely. You should definitely do that. That's great.
Yeah. Gonna get amongst it, mate.
Well, I think the time has come. Go ahead, Maddie. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked about Tornado Cash and about privacy and what's been going on there. David, do you want to give us a breakdown of More Token? What's going on there? Because I think I know what's going on, but it's different than most quote unquote airdrops.
Yeah. So More Token is an ERC20 from Trayvon James, who is a crypto OG. I don't know if most people have heard of him. Unfortunately for him, of the BitConnect fame, because he was a streamer way back in 2016, 2017. And that's how he basically got his start. You know, flash forward 5-6 years later, here he is. He's already streamed with Richard, I think twice, at least once. I remember for sure Richard interviewed with Trayvon James, and they had a good time. Trayvon's built a bunch of other smart contracts and games and stuff. But now what he's done is it's very simple. It's very basic. It's just More is an ERC20, kind of like, but like Bitcoin. There's 21 million coins and one, and he's Satoshi, and he pre-mined them. So he like spawned them all right at the beginning. There's no mining. He's got them, and now he's handing them out. There was a claim phase where if you participated in one of his other smart contracts, you would have gotten like a bunch, like a lot. But if you're just a regular person, or if you watched his YouTube shows, you can just go post in his community tab in YouTube, and he will literally send you some coins for free. No strings attached, no cost, no nothing. It's just free coins with the rules of Bitcoin, basically. You just send it. So that's it. So it's very simple. It's nothing crazy or fancy, but yeah, it's free money.
I might have to go drop a comment on his YouTube thing, man. I didn't even realize it was that simple. Literally just go put a comment in. Here's my address. Money, please. Yeah, that's all it says. Yeah. It even says leave your address and say why you deserve More Token. So just make Trayvon laugh. Say something clever or witty, or tell him who you are. If he recognizes your name on Twitter, or if he knows who you are, he'll give you some. Like, I think he's giving it to everybody, and he's paying the gas fees. There's no gimmick. There's no trick. I read the code in my video last night, and like it's just it looks like a stock template. I don't even think he changed any of the variables in the ERC20 contract, really. So yeah, it's nothing fancy, but it's pretty cool. It's just another coin. So why not?
I like him as a streamer. I like him as a Hexakin. I'm not sure about this token yet. I bought $500 of it just to balance out my meme coin situation with Pulse Dogecoin, doing like a whatever 7x, 9x, whatever it was. Like, I just need to, I guess, get a little bit more balanced there. But yeah, it seems like it's unclear, like how, I don't know. We'll see. With crypto, it's hard to see where everything goes. I think that it was hard for me to see how many tokens he has versus everybody else. Like, it's not very clear on the website what the token distribution is, which in my opinion is maybe that's coming or something, but that's like no way to launch a token.
It's a popularity contest. Like, you either participated in one of his other smart contracts that I won't mention. If you like put HEX into that basically and like locked it, then you were eligible for an airdrop. But otherwise, you just ask him for somebody gives you some, and that's it. Or you buy it. That's it. It's really just like it's like a popularity airdrop basically. It's like whoever shows up and wants some.
He said he was going to airdrop it to people who sacrificed hexagons, and then he didn't. And he has a claim button on his website that doesn't do anything. So it like gets people's hopes up, and then he hopes that they'll buy. Which I'm not saying that's a bad strategy. I just think it's a little bit disingenuous.
Yeah, I mean the website could definitely need more clarification for sure, because the claim button,
Well,
it only
it's
it only
smart.
works if you did receive it from the actual airdrop, then it would like pop up and show you. But if it doesn't
That's
work
an
for you,
add
then you didn't get
token
anything.
button. That's an add token button.
What do you mean?
Like
Yes. To MetaMask, you're right. Yeah.
I think it's a marketing thing. I think like he named it claim so that people would be like, oh, I didn't qualify, like might as well buy some. Which is, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, totally.
But let's just
Yeah,
call it what it is.
Yeah, for sure. In full disclosure for me,
think of
I got 500 of them, whereas people
Nice.
who participated in the actual airdrop got like up to 10,000. So what he's giving out for free is quite small. Like it's not a lot, but hey, I mean he's giving it out though, so I couldn't complain. And I watch his news show because he does. I like his news. I like Trayvon.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's OG.
I watch
He's smart. So I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So I figured I'd share with everybody else.
Totally. And I, normally if I was more for it, then I would try to give the other counterpoint anyway, right? Just because we like to, I mean, we used to have 4 people on the show that all had 4 different opinions about everything. And so it was really easy to like, cover all the points and everything. David and I, we kind of agree on a lot of stuff. So it's like we have to insert the counterpoints sometimes. But yeah, I think it's interesting kind of, and maybe we can have him on the show next week or something to understand more about, what he's doing is different than what other people have done. And that's kind of, the whole point of, I think that's like one of the use cases for this show is to like recognize when people are doing things different as experiments. And then we can all have a better understanding of how crypto and game theory is working, being on the cutting edge of everything. I know that's why I like to watch YouTube streams, is to be super, super, super informed. And that's another reason why we have Hexy B here, who is staying up in the middle of the night to be on the show.
With a terrible camera, it seems like, because it still doesn't look that good to me.
It looks good to me. Yeah.
Does it? I just want to add one quick point about the Trayvon thing. So like him doing this coin, he might well do quite well because he's got a good following and a good community around him and stuff. So sometimes that's enough. You don't even need anything else. You just need a good community. And that's why I think I wouldn't necessarily say buy it, or it's up to people what they want to do, right? But it's a speculation thing. Could do really well. Yeah, who knows? I like Trayvon as well. I think he's cool. But he is a degenerate, and he makes no odds of the fact that he is a degenerate. So you just gotta use your own brain and don't just blindly follow people.
I mean, it's super commendable that he's in the space, like after, being part of BitConnect and like, still showing up. And that's, just in my opinion, it's super commendable to like stay in it. The amount of hate that he's gotten is, probably unmatched. And so, props to him for sticking around, and, props to him for being a Hexican. That's why he's kind of a controversial character, because he did make these hourglass games for Hex people, and that maybe attracted some people into the space, and they did better than they would have going into other hourglass games. But in general, I think we like to hold ourselves to the highest standard we can. And when we're considering really any investment, like I kind of feel bad promoting things, and I don't necessarily promote things, but, sometimes I feel bad about talking about things other than Hex, even though I know we need to do that, because Hex is such a good thing that, I know people who got in the past year, they haven't done as well as people who are early. But if you understand like the deepest part of the game theory, right, it's that 75% of the coins are locked. 75% of user-controlled Hex is time locked for an average of 6.5 years. So what that means is that everybody who didn't lock for years and years and years has already shaken themselves out of the system. and we're in a bear market just like everything else. What do you think is going to pump harder moving forward? Is it going to be, is it going to be something that has this huge group of people that is incentivized to keep talking about it? Or are, obviously people are going to go in lots of different directions, but I still really like Hex, even if I'm getting people in who are brand new into stuff. And, just the fact that people are getting airdrops. I mean, the Pulse Doge airdrop, I've set up probably over 50 wallets. I've gifted people $100 worth of Hex, staked it, Quattro Cinco before I gave it to them. I've talked about how to do that before. But then they get an airdrop of 25 Pulse Doge coins that are worth what, $200 now or something awesome. So it's like, that money can be DCA'd into Hex and, be a liquid bag for somebody to, it's really awesome. So.
Yeah. Free money's good. Same with these more tokens too. Part of the meme of that coin is not to sell it, but if you're going to turn to Hex anyway, if you're a Hexagon listening out there, it's free money. You know what to do. Like,
can't ever complain about free money, man. Like they did smash it with that airdrop. That's a lot of money that they've managed to give people, a lot of liquidity and stuff. Yeah.
Which one?
Excellent job. Pulse Doge coin.
Yeah.
It's done very well recently. Yeah.
And I mean, the idea of adding staking, I think, is interesting and innovative. Even if it is a little kind of copying what's working in Hex, at the end of the day, I think people time locking is, it can be a good thing. And if you're trying to leverage other communities, especially, like that's the number one thing that I really think is outstanding about people who are, true to the cause of Hex. And like, it's fine if you're not true to the cause, but if you really believe that time locking and being a part of, generating yield that, it pays for itself because people are time locking. So that allows the price to pump more. So that's a function of money, is to store value over time. Fiat has been doing a really bad job of it, but it's still the best thing around until Hex came out. And so, I just think that any project that has a mission to go out there and bring other crypto communities into Hex, I almost think it's like imperative. Like, we're not going to get them if we don't get them one step closer to Hex. They're not going to take a giant leap from where they are into Hex. And this is pure psychology. This is, how do you cause somebody to change their behavior, how to change their financial behavior? Not everybody's going to understand time locking as a good thing right off. So it's a big
jump in it from, people get into crypto, they see doggy coins and stuff like that. It's hard to go from that to like serious financial asset that's going to help you out for years and years and years to come.
And I want to speak to that here for a second, because I believe that the meme coin movement within crypto is an extension of the Occupy Wall Street stuff that happened a long time ago. I think when you're buying a dog coin, you're giving a middle finger to the man who has a rigged stock market, a rigged currency that's inflating. Like, when everything is rigged against you, you want some, dogs are the most popular animal the most popular pet in the world. And it's like gratifying. It's like, it's fun to throw a little bit of money into something. And sure, maybe it's like better odds than buying a lottery ticket. But at the end of the day, we know that like goofing around and like meme coins in general, like we haven't really seen, and you could push back if either of you disagree with this, but we haven't really seen a meme coin where it held people's interest without spawning all these other things that are just kind of distracting in the end. Like people eventually get bored and move on from meme coins, I think, in general, which is why there's
I would agree with that.
40K of them, didn't you say on one live stream?
Yeah, like if we're talking just dog coins, like there's over 40,000 of them.
That's incredible. I learned that from you.
Yeah, it's nuts. So yeah, I mean, best of luck to anyone doing those, but in order to stand out from a crowd of 40,000 or more, things, it's going to be very difficult. You need to have like a real stickiness about you, or some kind of USP, or a shitload of marketing budget. Like there's a lot of things you need in order to make that work. It's not to say it's impossible, but it's just you're kind of doing the tried and tested thing. Like, I mean, Shiba Inu did it. They kind of did their own version of Dogecoin, and they went up, I think it was 14,000x in 1 year, which is nuts. It's crazy, but it happened. It's on the chart, man. Like people who bought it, but that's like 1 in a million though. Most of these things don't do returns like that. I mean, a lot of them do quite well, and they might go up a few 100x or something like that, but usually they have like one big pump and then they die. It's very difficult to get like multiple pumps out of something. You need like an incredibly strong community. I mean, you don't necessarily need advertising if you've got a strong community, because your community is your advertising. They go out like we do with Hex. Like, look how many people work for free for Hex. That's what I started doing. It's what you two do. I mean, you're pumping your bags, right? But you're volunteering your time to talk about it and educate people. And I think that's how SHIB did it, is they just had this really strong community going out and basically onboarding people into it. And it's a much easier sell because it's just a dog coin. It doesn't do any, people know what they're buying there. They don't have to understand anything. They see a ticker, they like the ticker, they like the logo, and then they buy it. And then if enough people do that, then it will moon. But providing the founders look after it and things like this, and liquidity doesn't get pulled, and all the right things are done, but you still need a lot of volume in order to make these giant price movements happen. So yeah, it's an interesting, but for like every successful meme coin, there's like literally, I can't even put a number on it, like 10,000 that fail and don't do anything.
And I'm not sure how it's gonna work out for Pulse Dogecoin, because what I've seen in Bitcoin is that everybody said that they wanted to change the world and fix the money, fix the world, and they're not going to turn in to what they were trying to replace. And then that's exactly what they did. They turned into the same financial system that existed before. I mean, you could see it. Look at any, Bitcoin billionaire other than maybe a couple that we know in this community, and they're all out there. Brian Armstrong, right? Check this out. Brian Armstrong was on Lex Fridman the other day, and it was 2.5, 3 hours, something. I mean, it was a long interview, and I'm searching for the words to like say it in a less vulgar way. He was getting into bed with, he was cool getting into bed with the government, enforcement of stuff. And like, that sucks. Like if you have all that power and you're just, not staying true to the cause. I mean, so the way that I'm trying to relate this back to Pulse Dogecoin is that like I would warn anybody who's on a mission, right, to like go out there and onboard new communities into Hex. And then what you could accidentally end up doing is just, taking part of the Hex community and putting them into a meme coin that isn't going to do as well as Hex will, right? And like, there's nothing wrong with people making their own choices, and everybody doesn't have to be 100% in Hex, but I want to be honest with people about how good Hex is. And if I had the best intentions of going out and making a meme coin, like that's a good idea to like attract new communities, but I don't know how I would stop myself from kind of the system corrupting me, or just like, all the, once you have power, it's hard to do the right thing, I guess.
It's almost like a double-edged sword, because even if the coin does well, there's going to be a few hexicans that sold some Hex to buy it, and then the coin does well, and then they start thinking, oh, I can do this over and over and over again with loads of things, and it's just not the way, man. You get lucky with a meme coin, you really are lucky. unless you've done proper research and you can see how much volume's going through it. And you, realistically, it's like, it's not going to happen over and over again. It's like winning the lottery if one of these things pops. That'd be my concern as well, is just that people, they get a taste for the meme coin thing. If it does really, I mean, it's done pretty well, but it's not done like hundreds or thousands of X's or anything like that. If it did do that, I worry that a lot of these Hex guys will be like, even if they missed it and they didn't take the opportunity or whatever, they might look for the next one that's going to do that. And that's my concern with it, I guess.
That's a really good point. And I think that's really realistic to say, is because here's what we know is, if you take poor people and you make them rich in crypto, it fails every time because they sell it at 10x and they don't get the majority of the gains. It doesn't matter how early you are. Once you get a 10x or 100x, I mean, at best, I mean, there's probably like, a line of, it just drops to zero, the number of people who became, who basically like were working regular jobs, then became billionaires in Bitcoin, like zero. Probably. I mean, we don't know, but
unless they forgot they had it or something and just check the price 10 years later, like, oh shit, I still got some of this,
Yeah. And the odds are they would have heard about it when it did the next 10x if they heard about it the first time. And so, I mean, I've got the example of Greg Schoen, who he's the guy who bought Bitcoin at 8 cents and sold it at 30 cents and posted that he regretted it when it was $8 and never bought back in. Like, I DM'd him on Twitter. He follows me. I think that's so cool because I think his story is like one of the coolest ones. It illustrates the whole point of Hex is that it does not matter. You could be earlier than everybody else. You could pick the right thing and it still wouldn't make you rich.
Yep.
Because it's missing that ingredient. And so I want to commend you for going on live streams and telling people, do not sell Hex, right? For meme coins.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Like this is the difference between, this, I want to stand and do this thing with honor and integrity, right? And which is weird for a meme token, but like, I think if people are in Hex, they're in the right place. You don't need to go chasing crazy pumps with other stuff. I'm not a maxi as such. Like, I would say about 90 to 95% of my bags are in like Richard Hart related things, mostly in his stuff, and then a couple of things just sort of like on the outside of him. But then I have got the 5-10% bag that I mess around with. I trade with it and I do whatever. And so I actually was kind of anti meme coins until a few months ago, and certain things fell into place, and I seen how well these things can do, and if they're done correctly. And that's what just sort of like changed my mind onto it a bit. And but I still strongly believe Hex people, really, you should just stick with what you've got here. Like, you don't need to go chasing pumps on other stuff. But if you've got like a small moon bag that you play around with, then something like potentially what I'm offering, or PLSD, or one of these things might not be a bad idea. But with those, you don't need to go all in anyway, because if they do pop, they go a lot. So it's high risk, high reward if it works out. But usually that, the riskiness of it is that they don't always work out. And even if they do, sometimes they wick up for like a day and then they go right back down again. And you never caught the gain that was there. But I'm trying to build something that has that like longevity where we can actually pump, do a big dip, and then repump again, and then do a big. If you look at the Shiba Inu chart, that had a lot of times where it was dead. Like, it dipped massively quite a few times, but it always went back up again. And there are other examples. Even Hex did this as well, where it goes up really, really far, dips 85%, and everyone thinks it's over, and then it just goes on and does new all-time highs. That's a as great as the code is with Hex, a lot of that is down to the community and just the strength and the shilling and just the passion that we have as Hexicans. If Hex didn't have a big community, it wouldn't have performed as well as it has done. It would have probably still done okay, but the community makes a big difference, and that's really what like my push is going to be on, is just building a huge, strong community. that are right behind it. And it's important to point out with Poor Pleb is that like the majority of our free claimers are going to be from the right communities. We're not going after, like, I don't think that Hex people particularly care about meme coins. There's maybe a few that do, but 80-90% of them at least probably don't care. They're not even that partial to it. They'll take free money. They might even hold the free money, but they're not going to buy meme coins, generally speaking. But if you go after Shiba Inu, Baby Doge, Floki, Cult DAO, all of these guys are partial to a meme coin. They hold it already. So it's just a much more targeted audience. The Hex community and the PulseChain community is probably only making up about 5% of the total people who can claim this, but almost all of them are going to be able to claim it, except the whales. They get nothing.
It'll be really interesting to see what your experiment yields. We know that it was probably in between 25 and 30% of Hex stakers claimed Pulse Dogecoin. So there's something there when it comes to liking free money. And I think it's awesome that you're going to take it to outside of the community, focus because what you said, 2.5 million people are going to qualify for this airdrop.
It's around 2 million. Around 2 million. Okay. Yeah. So even if just 5% of them come and claim it, that's 100,000 users. Just 5%, and I don't know how viral this thing's going to go. When people get it and they start talking about it, who knows how many people come forward and claim it. Obviously we're going to push it as hard as we can to these guys. But really it's word of mouth between these communities that's gonna drive it forward. And even if only 2 out of 10 people decide that they want to hit the buy button, I think the buy pressure there is going to way outweigh the sell pressure if the other 8 decide to sell. We've thought a lot about how to distribute this, and we haven't actually released what the free claim amount is going to be publicly yet, because we don't want people to like game this. And also the fact that we're just excluding the whales completely means that the whales who get the free money, who might hold it for a bit and then it does a 10x and then they dump it, they don't exist in our system. Everyone who gets the free claim gets the same amount. The only whales we're going to have at the beginning are people who sacrificed, and I think that those guys are sacrificing because they believe in it, not because they think it's some kind of pump and dump. They'll get a 2x and then bounce. I don't think any of them are going in with that mindset. I think they all see the potential here. And I think right now we're sitting on like $140,000 sacrificed for a meme coin, which is a literal joke, by the way. And I can't believe it, honestly. It's mental.
Well, I think you're doing a good job of keeping it like you have a good presentation, you have a good name, you have a good artist,
the artist is amazing. Crypto Biscuit, absolutely, sir. You're fantastic. One thing I don't have is a good camera at the moment, even though it is a good camera. It just don't want to work for me today.
How would you see what you're doing leading people to Hex?
So actually, to be honest, I think Hex is just going to be like in our, it's going to be like a little bit later down the line. It's more going to lead people to PulseChain. That's more the aim here, because we want to save these Ethereum guys because they're not running in our circles. I really don't think we're going after this community, but it builds up. It is a large percentage of the crypto community. They're chasing meme coin pumps and stuff like that. They're gamblers and whatever, but they're all paying exceedingly high gas prices on Ethereum. So I think the allure, because no expectations and all of that, we're doing the sacrifice phase at the moment. I can't say like what might be coming to PulseChain. What I can say though is that there's not going to be any additional features built on Ethereum. All additional features, if they ever exist, are only going to be available on PulseChain. So that's how we're going to do it. And I just think that because our community, a lot of the core, and I will certainly be talking about Hex, and my community will be talking about Hex. I think a lot of them are just going to get more familiar with the concept of it anyway. Just down to that. But like I say, it's more to bring PulseChain in. That's a funny comment. Yeah, it's more to bring people into PulseChain and get people over on that side. Now, I know that they're going to get the airdrop on PulseChain anyway for anything that they already had, but none of those coins are sort of specifically targeted with that in mind. Like a lot of the coins that already exist, yeah, they'll exist on there, but will they have the same value as they do on Ethereum? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that ours might. So
can you tell me specifically what it'll be about this that will bring people to PulseChain?
not without giving expectations, sir.
Okay.
The sacrifice phase has only got 17 and a bit, no, nearly 18 days left. So after that, maybe I'll be able to give you expectations without being naughty.
Yeah, well, and I was gonna say something to you about maybe go back and listen to your interviews and tone it down, like, because I think that even suggesting things can sometimes be, you don't want to be the person who's like suggesting things the most.
Yeah. What do you mean specifically with like
what I'm saying is you could do well even if you said less than you do.
Okay.
I believe in you. Okay.
Thanks.
So, and I want everybody to be in the utmost compliance. So, yeah.
Don't want to go breaking no laws or anything. So yeah.
I don't think that you are. I think that that you could be less in a gray zone.
Okay.
So, just keeping it real, man. Like I think we're all like we're all excited by being in this world where so many people are interested in learning. Like the Hex community is amazing. Like people followed you because you said smart things, you said entertaining things. Like you have been a great streamer and continue to be. And so everybody wants to see others do well.
Yeah. I think really this just got birthed out of, I see a gap in the market here with this meme and this narrative. We all feel like poor plebs at the moment because we're at the bottom of a bear market. Almost everyone can relate to this in some way. Why hasn't anyone done a PP coin anyway with all the Richard Hart memes and stuff? I don't know, man. Huge gap in the market. No one's gone after the outside meme coin community specifically yet. So I would like to be the first one to do it. And also no one's done the whales get nothing distribution model either. I'm going to be interested to see how many of these free claimers actually hold it and what price levels, what amount of money is it that they start selling it off, and do the whales come and gobble it all up, or what happens with it? It's just going to be interesting to watch it all unfold over the coming however long years.
On a technical level, can you tell us, if anything, about the actual ERC20? Kind of like what I did for More Token, just like what are the functions? Like what can the coin actually do? Is it just to send it and hold it for now? Like is that all that's built into it?
You can buy it, you can sell it, and you can send it. This is a proudly zero utility ERC20.
Okay. So there's no built-in staking or built-in features or anything like that. Okay.
Nope. Absolutely nothing, sir. It's going to be as simple as humanly possible. The only technical thing about it is that we're going to, in terms of the distribution, is literally those who sacrifice are going to get it automatically distributed to them when the token's launched, and then we will have a 69-day claim phase where there will be inflation during that time. After that, there's no inflation, there's no tax on cells or anything like that. It's all just a basic ERC20 with zero features.
Okay, cool. And okay, perfect. Because like later on, you guys could make, or anybody could make, other smart contracts that then use the token inside of them, right? Like
yes.
So that gotcha. So that's cool. So that's perfect. Like so it's very contained. And once it's deployed, there's no admin keys, right?
Nope.
Okay.
It's going to be all completely so we're going into it with the same ethics as like Richard Hart has taught us, the no admin keys, immutable code. We're hoping to, there's a few things that I want to say, but I can't. But yeah, we're going into it with all those ethics. We don't want an off switch. We want this to be like a completely immutable contract. As long as there's liquidity there will always be a price. Yeah, that's all. It's just a speculation tool, man. That's literally all it is. People love speculating. All they care about is logo, ticker symbol, narrative. So we got all three. We've got a good one for each of them. And it's just whether it gets picked up. I mean, I'm not a fan of centralized exchanges and stuff like that, but I certainly wouldn't be opposed to them guys picking up this and wanting to let people use leverage on it and things like this. You know, it's a speculation tool. The way I see it with that is just it's more people that get to see the ticker that might hit the buy button. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's immutable. Can you talk about the well, I guess you said it earlier, the number of tokens that people are going to qualify for the free airdrop, that has not been chosen yet. But have the projects and the coins that people are holding today in order to be eligible, is that list finalized today, or is that still being worked on?
Yeah, that's finalized. We just haven't decided like where do we draw the line, because like $1,000, as you know, we might have to just go slightly above that, and then the $1 threshold we might go slightly below that or something, you know, just to, because we want as many people as possible whilst keeping it reasonable. So just so the audience is aware, the only people who will be able to claim this token is people who had less than $1,000, well, between $1,000 and $1,000 of Shiba Inu, Floki Inu, Cult DAO, Baby Doge, Doge Elon Mars, Comrocket, Pulse Doge Original, Pulse Doge Coin, and the Lost Kingdom. So as long as they had between $1,000 and $1,000 of those coins in their wallet on the 16th of last month, then they'll be eligible to free claim. And then anyone who sacrificed less than $1,000 for PulseChain, PulseX, Liquid Loans, Power City, Fiat, Horicash, Internet Money, and Mintra will also be eligible. So from those lists there, I mean, a lot of hexagons are going to get in anyway. But we could still add people to this if we wanted to on the same snapshot date, because the way that we scraped the data was, you know, it was based on the history. It wasn't like a immediate like bang snapshot. It wasn't done like that. It was done with code where they scraped off the data. So there's nothing stopping us adding more community. So I'm actually open if anyone who's listening to this, if they have ideas for other meme coin or relatable tokens that might be good for this, then let me know, because we might be able to add them. If it's worth doing, then we will, because we want to attract as many basically degenerate meme coin guys as possible, because that's the audience, right? These guys are chasing pumps anyway. Maybe we save a couple of them.
All right, very cool.
You're giving it to Pulse Dogecoin holders?
Yeah.
Nice. Why not give it to even more people? Like, kind of like, you know, why not give it to everybody who's on Ethereum?
Because we want to keep the target sort of somewhat specific. Yeah, we want the guys who claim this to be sort of in the market, or at least related to things I like anyway, or that the team likes. So that I am still totally open to adding. I mean, there was talk about, you know, we should add Maxi on, and I'm kind of like, yeah, that's not a bad idea, but at the same time, we're also looking at maybe something with Hex, because we've had a lot of complaints. Why isn't Hex on the list? Like, well, most people will have their Hex staked, and it's a little bit more, you know, what threshold do you do for that? Because how many TShares would you need to have? But if we do anything like that in the future, I think it will be like largely favorable towards the Hex community. It won't be quite as strict, if I could say that, maybe. But yeah, we haven't decided. Like at the moment, this is the plan. These are the ones that we've got. But I'm not opposed to adding more people. But yeah, I wouldn't want to just give it to like everyone on Ethereum. I just want it to be specific to the coins that, you know, the target audiences that we're going for. Vitalik, well done. Oh, and here's another thing as well. So like everyone who is eligible for the free claim is only entitled to the same amount. So it's going to be, everyone starts free claim wise on an even playing field. There's no like advantage to being a bigger guy or a littler guy. It's literally the same all the way through. So really, people are going to have to hit the buy button if they want to have a good position in it. They're not just going to get the good position for free. They'll get some, but it's just like a freemium amount. It's a teaser. You know, we're hoping that a few of these guys that get the free airdrop are going to go and hit the buy button.
Mm-hmm. And if you have Pulse, like as an example, I've got Pulse Dogecoin and I have Dogelon Mars. I'm still only, my one wallet, even though I hold both coins, is only eligible for one airdrop, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So
any address that's eligible, even if it's eligible like 5 times over, will still only receive the same amount.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah. I was wondering about that one.
Yeah. So, but like the main thing here is just keeping it and giving it to the little guy, because, you know, the little guy's been screwed a bit in the last year, especially hard. I mean, everyone's down an even percentage, but you know, if you got into crypto in the last year, you're basically wrecked. And most guys in crypto are little guys. So we're kind of going after the 99%. We're like rallying the 99% behind our ideology. That whole like gimmick of whales get nothing. The narrative is great because it helps you think. It makes you think that you've got like a chance here, even if it's just a small leg up against those guys. Like you've got a chance to do something with this thing, and if you look after it, then maybe it will do quite well for you. But also, it separates the bad whales, I think, from the good whales. Like I think good whales will like that idea, and they will come in and still get a significant position in it because they see that the potential of rallying the 99% behind something that has a lot more to it than just like 1 or 2 whales who are manipulating the price upwards, essentially. So, yeah.
And for other whales out there, because no whales were included, it really is a level playing field. So even if they've got big bags of something else and they want to walk in and be a whale in poor pleb, they still can. And then there's probably even less competition for them, actually, if they get in early enough.
Yeah.
So, interesting. That's interesting. I like
that.
that.
That's why we're doing the sacrifice phase. I mean, obviously there's a lot of reasons why you might want to do that. And I know doing a sacrifice phase for a meme coin is like literally a joke, but actually that's part of the joke. We have seen some of the dumbest ideas coming out for sacrifices, right? And people just throw money at it. People, random person on the internet wants money with no expectations. Cool, let me just throw everything at him, you know? And some of these things have raised a lot of money. So I purposefully wanted to give people the dumbest thing ever that they could sacrifice for, which is a meme coin. And it's done fantastically well. Honestly, I'm a little surprised with this much time left, how much is in there. So yeah, it's taking the mick out of that. It's taking the mick out of Cult DAO with the Plebifesto instead of the manifesto. Like a lot of the language we use is sort of geared up around poking fun at all of these little areas. Like we're poking fun at crypto in general. We're all wrecked. We're all poor plebs. We're poking a bit of fun at Richard Hart with some of his some of his wordplay, like we have proof of pleb as our distribution model and stuff like that. You know, we're just having a bit of fun, really. And I think people are really getting behind it. Our community is growing quite strong. And yeah, we've got a marvelous illustrator who's doing all these designs for us. He's literally an engine. He's pumping out new cartoons for us every day. We're sitting on so much content here that like we're trying to drip it out so as not to like blow our load straight away. But we've got literally so much content that we can throw out at this over time. So yeah, I'm very pleased. Like everything's going a lot better than I thought it would up to this point. So I can't wait until it's all over and we can actually launch the token and fireworks begin, you know, get the popcorn out and see what happens.
So you said the sacrifice phase ends in 17 days?
Yeah, just ticked over from 18, so 17 hours, 17 days and 21 hours is how long you've got left. There's no bonding curve, intentionally, because plebs are always the last to find out about stuff. So you get the same rate, which is 100,000 coins per dollar, 100,000 points per dollar, should I say, up until the very last day. And the only difference is there's a 2.5x volume multiplier to encourage whales to want to get in, because so they can get up to a 2.5x if they're top of the leaderboard, basically.
Okay. And then after the sacrifice phase, will this ERC20 be deployed on Ethereum first?
Yep. So it's going to go straight out on Ethereum. It won't be like immediately after. We have to do sack balancers and a few other little bits and bobs. And we are sort of somewhat trying to time the bottom of the bear market as well. We're not going to get it perfectly. We know this. We know this completely, but we want to be launching around the time when everything's bottomed out, and then we can, with Hart's Law and things like this, hopefully that helps drag us up anyway, even without our own buy pressure and things like that. We don't want to launch it and then see Ethereum go down 50-60% straight after, which is gonna hurt our price as well if we're bonded with Ethereum in any way. So we are trying to time that, but we're not going to delay launch too much based around this. But that was the whole timing with the sacrifice phase and everything anyway. We're trying to get as close to that market bottom, which a lot of us seem to think it's going to be around the end of September sort of time. That would be a great time to potentially launch something right at the bottom of the bear market.
Who sacrificed the smallest amount?
That would be you, sir.
Me?
I think. Might well be.
It was me.
It might well be. You have
What
the
was the
smallest
smallest
PP,
amount?
do you know what? I'll have a quick look actually, because I think it might be you. Someone sacked one Hedron. I thought that was quite funny. But I believe you.
Well, then it's not even close. Because I sacrificed one heart.
Yeah.
David knows how much that is.
Yeah, I mean,
I can give it away. If you guys don't know, then people need to get educated.
I don't know the US dollar value of that, but looking at the Hedron chart, that one heart is less than one Hedron. I know that for a fact.
Okay. And how much is it in hex terms? Because that's how we value our wealth anyway, right?
Oh God, is it 7 zeros and then a 1 after the decimal?
It's 1/100 of a hex.
Oh, 1/100 millionth. I thought it was 1/1 millionth of a hex.
100 of a hex is a heart, just like 1/100 of a Bitcoin is a Satoshi.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's going lower than that, mate.
Yeah. You overpaid by the gas by a factor of 1,000.
It was $1, so it was more than that.
That's crazy, man. I must admit, like, props to you, Matty, for that. That really made me laugh, like, a lot.
I needed a talking point to educate people on what the smallest unit of a hex is. So, boom, done. It only cost me $1.00000001. Right?
That's so funny. But yeah,
and that doesn't qualify for anything either. So that's fine.
You might get 1 PP in return or something.
That is too kind.
It is too kind. You're right, because it's going to cost gas to send it you as well.
Oh, are you guys doing that too, where it's a gasless airdrop and the coins will be sent to people?
No, just on the sacrifice set. When people claim, they'll have to pay gas to claim it. The claim will be very similar to the PLSD claim. It's just the sacrifice set, which that will get distributed out automatically to everyone who's sacrificed. But yeah, I was just gonna say, like, that thing really cracked me up, man. We had a lot of people doing similar stuff. Like, I think that's how you caught it, because I was saying, like, all these people who are sacrificing the penny, I hope you don't expect much for that, right? We're not doing this in reverse and giving you the 2.5x or anything. Because I get it, right? Like, poor pleb, you think, oh, maybe the little guy gets more. I can assure you guys, the sacrifice phase is geared up so that bigger pays better. Because
you can't assure anything really, probably, other than in point terms.
Wink, wink.
In point terms, yes.
Yeah.
You get more points if you're bigger sacrifice. Yeah. I have to be so careful with this language, man. I'm not used to talking like this.
It's okay. Good. Yeah. So don't even try. Now, okay, since we're on the topic, I disclosed my reason for sacrificing so little. Other than it being a good joke, is to try to educate people. So this is really fun. This is next level hex stuff. Okay, so if a heart is the smallest unit of hex that can exist currently, what is the smallest unit that can be staked?
You told me this when we had the stream.
Okay, cool. All right.
Do you know it, Dave?
I do not. I didn't know there was a minimum.
It seems like it would be 1 heart, right?
Yeah, that's what I would have
I think
thought.
you said it's 10 hearts. Is that right?
So the contract actually will no longer let you stake 1 heart because you can't earn any interest on that, and it would kind of like would make things a little bit off. And so, so I think probably what the logic that would operate. I should probably go try it, before I, broadcast this too many times. But basically, again, we're on the cutting edge here, right? So I had never sent 1 heart before until now. So now we know that's a thing. It's been tested. It's not just theoretical. And then so when it comes to staking, I think it's so there's this relationship between like the starting price of a share and where it is now. And that's like the highest ROI that anybody's gotten in the system, right? And so the rate of a TShare right now is what, 23,000 something? We can look on HEX daily stats. If you have it bookmarked on your phone, then it'll come up even faster. The price of a TShare today is 23,140 HEX. And so my guess is that it would be 2.315 hearts would be the minimum amount that you could stake today.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a function of like shares. Like you have to be able to buy whatever the smallest. Yeah, I think yeah. So if that makes sense, we can test it out and everything, but something
that's something next level.
Very few people, if anybody, except for Future Us, knew because he taught me.
Mate, that's mental.
Yeah. So
I wonder how much interest you'd get off one of them on a 5555 stake.
I think, yeah. Or if you just staked for a day or something too, that would be even less. But yeah, I think it has to be, because it has to be at least a heart. So maybe it's actually, you do need like 10 or 15 or something hearts to be able to stake in order to get at least 1 heart's interest, basically. We could test
because
it out.
Like because if you did even if you did like 5, if you staked it for like a day, you're not going to get any interest off it at all, are you? So
well, you would get a really small amount, and then it would be really fun to test to see like how much that drives up the share rate.
We could just do that all day, every day. Yeah. I must say the TShare rate price, I haven't looked at that for a while. I remember when that was just getting over 20,000. Doesn't even feel like that long ago.
That's how compound interest curves work, is they go up faster and faster over time.
Yeah. And that's going to be a crazy number in a few years. Like when HEX gets to a couple of dollars or something like that, like, God, how much is it going to be for 1 TShare? I already felt like TShares were almost a little bit unachievable for the small guy coming into HEX, around last year when we were up at 40, 50 cents. It was like $8,000 a TShare. I don't think many people coming into crypto for the first time are going to throw down $8,000. So it kind of already escaped the reaches of many people straight away, which is crazy because it's only been out for 2.5 years. So like at some point soon, it's going to have to be a B share thing, isn't it? Otherwise, people are going to be like, oh, I can't afford $100,000 for a TShare. It's going to be mental.
And it could be millions of dollars for a TShare in the future, right? And that's how doing a 6 million X works. If you're following in the footsteps of Bitcoin, today the price of a 1-day TShare, which is like pretty short, it's $1,254. To get a Quattro Cinco stake, one T-share only costs you $418, which is so close to 420. We're just going to call it that. Right.
Nice.
And shout out to RH Max for the $25.55 super chat. Hey, thanks, man. Is there a pile of Red Bull cans hiding behind Hex?
No, not anymore. I got rid of them.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so I think that, unit bias is a thing, and it works both ways. Like, rich people want to buy rich things, and poor people want to buy inexpensive things, right? Like, and everybody wants to get a good deal. And so I like in Hex that you can market T shares, you can market B shares, you can market M shares, right? And it scales, right? And it translates. I've gone back and forth on the, I've been streaming on Tuesday nights for like 87 weeks. And I've gone back and forth on like, we should switch to B shares. No, we should stay with T shares. No, we should go up to P shares, which is a peta share. No, we should stick with T shares. So I think we should go with all of them. I think we should individualize it based on who we're trying to onboard. And we should have different marketing pitches that fit, for different people, because at the end of the day, it's how long you lock that determines how much future compound interest you get. So it doesn't really matter how expensive it is in dollar terms. Like, it matters what, when you value your wealth in Hex, it matters that you're not getting diluted by holding on to a sell option that you're not going to use, right? Like, that's like, when I onboard people, so I'm traveling, like I onboarded a family the other day. Like, it was really fun because there was a 14-year-old and like a 9-year-old, and then like the parents. And so it's like, let's say family friends or something. And, so I taught the 14-year-old, and then I had them teach the little sister. And then I had the 14-year-old also teach the parents. And that's how you really like learn how to do something, is by teaching it to somebody else immediately. And so I'm always experimenting with onboarding, but what I did is I set them up with like a 5, 10, and 15-year stake, and then 25% liquid. And so, having liquid is like, it's cool if you want to sell, right? And like, that's part of the point of crypto, is to like reward yourself, like get something out, but if you set up initially to where you don't have 100% of your bag sitting liquid, like that's the worst. If you held 100% of your bag liquid for a year, you just diluted yourself 10%, the APY that you could have gotten for locking during that time. So, and in my opinion, it's a worse deal to hold on to liquid coins that you're not going to sell, because then you can't enjoy this big run up. If it happens, you're going to accidentally sell it at 10x or 100x. And that's what happened. That's why 75% of the coins are locked in Hex, because everybody who had liquid coins sold because the gains were too good, or because it dropped too much. So like, the only survivors, right? Like 75% of the user controlled coins are surviving because they're time locked, which is pretty cool. And so, so I think that, So I think that no matter what like the units are that we're using, the APY is the same. It's based on how long you lock. And the real APY doesn't come from the fiat appreciation. It doesn't come from the smart contract. It doesn't come from the fiat appreciation. It comes from being locked into something that you can't sell. And it's becoming more scarce in the here and now, because more and more people are competing to lock it up.
Yeah.
So
Hex is beautiful, man. Like the design of it is just fabulous, but like it's so good. And over time, it's always going to do what it's designed to do. providing that people still care about it, which I think when you're locked up for like an average of 6 to 15 years or whatever it is, it's like you're going to talk about that. You're going to tell other people about that. And it's just a wonderful design, both in the code and in the marketing and how it's pitched to people. It keeps people talking about it. You know, people aren't going to get bored and move on as much because they're locked in for a long, long time. And look how it encourages people like us and just to talk about it and do their bit to promote it and stuff. Like it's amazing. I just don't think you will get that kind of thing with a serious financial product in this sort of way. Yeah, it's just marvelous. I love it. That was like the main thing that attracted me to Hex, actually, was the idea that I could lock up, because I knew that I was a paper hands guy. Yeah. Like, I love it. I've seen it as a savings account. And the worst thing for me is, like, you make a bit of gains in crypto. And like you say, you'll sell it on a 3x or a 10x or maybe even a 20x. But generally, you're not going to hold it for the like 5 million X or whatever it'll end up doing in the future. Which, you know, if Bitcoin had this, I always love using this analogy. If Bitcoin had a 15-year lockup feature on it when it launched, and just if, you know, not everyone would have used it, but a few people would have locked up 100 Bitcoin for 15 years, or maybe even more, like, because Bitcoin was so cheap back in the day, that they could have locked up 1,000 or 2,000 Bitcoin for 15 years. Man, what's the value of that going to be by the time they come and remove it? I know that there is a feature in there, but the feature doesn't give you anything back. So it's just like, you can lock it up, but it doesn't do anything. It just stays locked up. So that doesn't make sense. But if you can lock it up, and even just in the 15 years, even if you just got 2x your bag back in Bitcoin terms, loads of people would have done it, and actually, as a function of that, the price might have even gone up a little bit harder than it has done now. So
probably.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. All you need is people, you know, time locking, and it's, you know, but the incentives have to be right for people to want to do that. And, yeah, so that, I mean, that's what's special about Hex. I mean, but then, I mean, think about it. Bitcoin, like, yeah, it had, what was it called? Like time check, some verified lock, time lock, some verify, or that was like the code name. It was programmed in from, like, I don't know if it was the very beginning, but it was in there, and it wasn't marketed, and nobody cared about it. And people, you know, like Jack Levin talk about, yeah, we didn't believe Bitcoin was going to be anything, but at least we were nerding out about it and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that that it's really interesting to see the incentives getting aligned in Hex, and it kind of, you know, it doesn't have the negative externalities. That's what I was going to say. You don't have a founder that's selling. You don't have the mining equipment that is being bought. You don't have the electricity that's being burned. And so it's not just that people are time locking it, it's that people don't have to sell. They can, and they do, and that's a good thing, because then they're out. But the people who keep playing the game, and the new people who join, who want to play the game better than the old people, definitely have something to play for. Shares of future compound interest. I mean, everything has compound interest, right? If you hold it long enough, like, more people participate, the gains get exponential. But Hex is the only thing that gives you certainty that you can have a share of that, and you get the share up front, right? Like, it goes back to, like, my quitting smoking example for tobacco. Like, we paid people $1,000 to quit smoking and gave them the right tools, and the success rate was 85%. However, there's not 100%, but there's like over half of people who continue to smoke. And there's 2 billion people in the world that smoke, some at least, but people who continue to smoke, who keep paying to smoke when they're paying thousands of dollars a year, and they want to quit. Like, so it's having that, like, upfront incentive like having that certainty, I think, makes a difference in the human psychology, and that's what we see with HEX. You know, and at the same time, I think that APY might not be the only it might not be the only pitch that people respond to. Like, I want to hear more about what Hexy B says about if HEX, if the unique value proposition or whatever it's called, if it was stop trading, would that have been more attractive than 40% APY?
I mean, honestly, from my perspective, when I found out about HEX, just the idea that I mean, the APY was okay, but it was really just picking an amount of time that you were willing to like go without that money, and then you kind of take the stress of having to stare at the chart away, and you can just walk away from it, and you make a decision. Like, I think my first stake was I did 3 actually. I did a 2-week one for no real reason. Like, I had hardly any HEX, but I just wanted to see to see how it worked and everything like that. It was easy enough. And then I did like a 10, a 5, and a 3, I think it was, or maybe a 10, a 6, and a 3. Nice. But I made like a conscious decision there and then, like with almost all of my bag, by the way, like almost everything I had left after getting wrecked on Bitcoin and everything.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'm going to make like a 10, a 6, and a 3-year commitment. And now I can sort of walk away. And then it just became a target to like fill up the years that were remaining. So then the next one I did was a 15-year, and then I did a 1-year one, I think, or a 2-year one. And then I was just like filling in these gaps every month. When I got paid, I'd go and buy, not a lot, like I wouldn't put in a lot in, like, but what I could, I'd buy it, and then maybe do 2 or 3 stakes out of it and just fill up those gaps. And then when I did it, you had this sense of like completion. And yeah, it's just a good, you talk about this a lot, delaying your gratification. It does a lot for your mental health and just takes the stress away from it all. And that was my main thing. That I mean, I was attracted to it because of like Richard, because Richard's a smart dude, and he was teaching me in the first like hour of watching him talk. I learned more than I did in like 8 months of hard research, like trying to figure out crypto, even longer actually. So that was attractive, but really like the time lockup feature, even without huge interest or anything like that, it still was quite attractive, because you're just saving yourself from yourself. I'd just been wrecked as well, trying to trade and things like that. And yeah, I just got wrecked. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to park my money somewhere and just leave it. But then I ended up being more involved in this than I have been in anything ever in my life. So yeah, it's just good. I just think it's a wonderful idea to do that. And then when you break it down mathematically and you look at how that yield is generated and what that might actually do for the price moving forward as well, it's just crazy, man. Everything just pumps everything else. And yeah, that was it for me, really.
That's what's up. Yeah. And I think, the more we can examine what is it that got us here and what's keeping us here, and, what's good for us and everything, that that's going to inform us better on how to onboard people into something that is designed to be good for mental health, right? It's like, well, it's an emergent property at worst. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that we really want to look at, what is it that people need, what use case of HEX is the best for each individual, and then use that. What are your thoughts, David?
I mean, I have a prediction that staking tokens is going to be like, I don't want to say like the hot next thing, but I think you're going to see a lot of coins introducing this over time, because I think people have learned from HEX, and I think they're going to try to incorporate it. Like using Icosa as an example, Alex has created, coming soon will be a platform where you can stake your Hedron and then you earn another coin. And then supposedly Pulse Dogecoin is coming out with this, and it's going to be the next big craze. And what's good though is it will teach people how to hold and lock up their coins, and a lot of more people, I think, even in other communities, are gonna have the same thing. So overall, I mean, it's a perfect strategy, especially making the ladder. Like, yeah, it's if like you said, Hexy B, like when I made my ladder back in the day, like, and it was finished and it was like ready, I was like, it felt so good. Like I was so proud of what I built. You know, it's like, man, look at this. Look at this, like rows of money trees, and each year one is ready to be pruned. You know, for 15 every year, I get to do this. So I love it, man. It just makes so much sense.
It's great as well, because they're like, even if you just look at, if you give rough price predictions of what you think it might be, I tried to do it in a way so as like, if it did moon and stay, which I'm much more confident at that mooning aspect of it now than I was when I first started this thing. Back then I was like 50-50, it might go, but now I'm like 96% sure that it's just going to fly in the future. If it went to like a couple of dollars a coin, or like God, even like $10 a coin, it's going to be more money than you need coming in. It's going to be more than your salary and everything all put together, which I'm sure some of you two probably already feel that. Where just knowing you've got that much money coming in every year, it just frees you up to do whatever you want to do with your life then. And that was the allure as well, is just like maybe being able to retire off this, because you've got like that every year there's a big stake coming out, and that might be more than you earn anyway from your job. So you could, if you wanted to, you could just live off that. And that's a dream right there, man, being able to retire because you made some good decisions. Like one day you found this random guy, Richard Hart, on YouTube. He told you about this idea. You made a good decision to go and lock up some money, and then it ended up doing really, really well for you. It sounds almost too good to be true, but Richard's just one of a kind when it comes to this stuff, man. He really stands out amongst the influencers, if you can even call him that, on YouTube. He's just, he's God founder, isn't he?
Yes, he is the king of crypto. Yeah.
Another thing to keep in mind, you know, is that like 75, like in the beginning of HEX, very little was staked, and the APY was like, I don't know, still kind of low. And you know, now we had Crispy Man on the stream last week, and he showed like more analytics than we've seen ever in the hit, like 10x the analytics. I mean, Hex.vision is cool, but it's so hard to use. And this is like, you go to hexfire.io, and then you can learn everything about every single stake. You can filter by like different types of stakes, and it's incredible. You can separate out the OA stakes. Like that's something even an advanced user such as myself, you know, would have had trouble doing. Right? It takes a lot of chain analysis to do that. But so what we're going to see is we're going to learn so much about what happened in these first 2.5 years by having the data. It seems like easy to just go on Etherscan and look something up, and people who took my free course, they know how to do that now. But you don't realize, like, even with that skill, you can't see everything that's happening unless you can access all the data on the blockchain. You can't do it through Etherscan. Like, where do you go? Like, it's kind of, I wouldn't say gatekept. It's just like nobody made it available until now. And so we're going to be able to see like how many people are in profit, like how many people are really playing the game one way versus another. Like we're going to be able to see, were people in profit more likely to stake longer, or people who were at a loss? You know, like how many people bought HEX and it dipped and they sold, and how many people bought HEX and it dipped and they staked, and then what happened to those two profiles going forward? There's gonna be a lot of cool things that we'll be able to see. Like I bet, So we know that 75% of the coins are in the hands of holders, the user controlled coins. 75% are locked. And so that should tell you a lot about, you know, what trading does. You know, and to take that a step further, like we probably don't emphasize enough in our streams, like how important it is. Like if everybody who watches this show, we have like 4,000 or 5,000 people who watch the show. Maybe it was only 3,500 last week or something, but you know, like there's multimillionaires, there's, you know, billionaires, literally there's, you know, 100 millionaires that watch the show. If everybody started staking more, myself included, like I have my, you know, I have my yearly stake that came out that hasn't fully been staked yet. The more we stake, the more the price will go up because we're the ones who have the coins to sell. And the more the price goes up, then the less we have to sell, but we have to give up the control first. And that's a difficult thing to do. But if you believe that PulseChain is going to onboard millions of people and the things you're doing, you know, to attract dog coin people, to get them, you know, going with their free money early, and then they'll be more likely to get going with their free money, you know, of the fork airdrop of PulseChain. I mean, you know, the price of HEX is not going to stay this low for very long if you think that millions of people will be onboarded soon. And soon, I'm using soon relatively in the sense that I have 15-year stakes. So, you know, so I want to start emphasizing more, like the more we can stake, the more we can save ourselves from ourselves, because we're the ones who dump the price and we're the ones who pump it, you know, who allow it to go up by making the coins more scarce. So I'm not saying stake everything. I'm saying if you stake a larger percentage than you have been, and other people do that, those are the people who have been saved up until this point. Everybody else got shaken out because they sold when the price went up or they sold when the price went down. So the people who are watching the show who have millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of HEX and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of dry powder sitting on the side, like at some point, those people are going to make a decision and they're going to decide which way HEX goes. And then we're going to have the millions of people who pile on after them. So it's like, now is the time, in my opinion, like what I'm analyzing is now's the time to, like, you know, decide whether your liquid bags are going to survive the next, you know, the next round of going up a lot and going down a lot.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Everyone should stake everything, man. Well,
no way.
Obviously not. 15 years only or FUD. No, I know what you mean though. No, I think everyone's coming at it from like their own. Everyone has their own reasons for wanting to stake for X amount of time. Like I know, for example, we got like a lot of older guys in our community. The idea of a 15-year stake to them might not be very attractive, but they've got the flexibility. They can just do like a 6-month one if they want to or something. So, you really do make the choice, but you're right, man. If people just took more HEX out of the system, put it into the staking, it's gonna definitely push the price up a bit.
If you're holding liquid, you're getting diluted.
Yeah,
because you're paying the inflation that everybody else is receiving. So just, you know, keep that in mind. And it's probably not responsible to stake everything, but it, you know, I think a lot of people, like, just going off my own experience, like you know, is it really going to matter if I stake a little bit more? Like, it might be better for the system and it might be better for me, but I haven't done it yet. You know, I haven't gotten around to it because it's hard. It's hard to like send money to your future self. And I don't think we talk about that either. Like we like make it sound only awesome, and it's not only awesome. Like it sucks. It sucks delaying gratification. But like, that's how you win. So
it's a very grown-up thing to do, isn't it? Like,
oh yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I mean, that was like one of the most adult decisions I ever made in my life, was deciding, oh, I'm going to lock up money for 10 years. Like who does that? You know, it's such a strange thing to do, especially if you're not like already super mega wealthy. You don't generally make decisions like that unless you're like trying to protect some wealth. This was like this was a speculation thing. Like, oh, in 10 years, this might be worth a lot of money. Like, imagine if you bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, how rich would you be now? So it's very much the same sort of, we've got proof of cryptos going up this much now. So it's not unreasonable to say that HEX might do the same price performance as Bitcoin, because it is very similar thing, you know. It's a very similar thing. It's just that we've got that added feature of you can choose an amount of time that you want to lock up for. And I really love that. And like I said earlier, that was my main attraction to the system in the first place, was you get to set yourself, you make a contract with yourself, and if you stick to it, then you'll get rewarded. If you don't stick to it, then you might lose a bit of your principal or do whatever, you know, or you won't. But more importantly is you won't see the potential of the length of time that you could have been in the market by committing to that stake. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great. And I think it is. And this is why I keep saying to people, you know, if you're a serious investor, don't go all in on meme coins, especially, you know, I mean, if you got a big bag of HEX and you're already, you know, you've made it and you're just having a bit of fun, then that's fine. But like, there's no reason to shove all in on something as volatile and not, you know, I'd say meme coins are even more volatile than HEX, and HEX goes up and down like 95%. It's just done on this dip, you know. If HEX can go down 95%, what do you think a meme coin can do? If it can go down 99.99999. Like, and we see this all the time. So it's difficult longevity wise for those type of coins. But something like HEX, when you are getting people to lock up for this long, the people are going to continue to talk about it and going to continue to care about it. So I think there's a lot more potential with something like that. So if you're in HEX, man, you're totally in the right place. I'm not going to tell people to buy Poor Pleb instead of HEX. I'll tell them to buy HEX because I think that's a better decision.
I'm gonna analyze the people who I'm telling, and I'm gonna tell people who are Occupy Wall Street people about, you know, I might tell them about a meme coin with the ultimate play to get them into HEX, and just experiment with that with like 1 or 2 people and see how it goes. Because I think that's really what it takes. And I love your take about like HEX, like creating stakes is the most adult thing you've ever done. That's brilliant. Like, yeah, it's so true. So maybe I'm going to start working on that angle too. And you know, test that out. Because I think people who've been wrecked by the financial system, like, not all of those people are going to be ready to trust the next thing. And so if the pitch for HEX is stop trading or grow up or something, then that's going to work for some people. If it doesn't, if they're not ready to grow up, then maybe they need to, you know, have a dog show them a good time, and then they can, you know, then they can believe again. So.
Yeah. One question I did have for you guys. So obviously I've given my little pitch about PP and all of this. Like, this is game theory, gang. What do you guys think about the game theory with Poor Pleb? Like, the whales get nothing, fair distribution to all the little guys and all of this. Like, hit me with your biggest FUD, because I mean, there are angles that people can come at. I mean, people can say, oh, well, if you exclude whales, then no one's going to buy it. I disagree with that completely. But yeah, I'm just curious what you guys think of the game theory in all of that.
I mean, I don't love the sacrifice, right? But I understand why it's happening, right? It's, you know, it's for those that want to get involved, right? You know what I mean? And you got to pay for development costs to produce the thing, and I get that. I would also be curious, are there founder coins? You know, how many coins does the team get for their efforts? Or they just pay it in cash from the sacrifice? Because I would ask those kinds of questions. Other than that, as far as like, if you said it's just a basic admin keys, it's an ERC20, it's locked. And once you give out the coins to everybody, it's done, right? There's no more minting. There's no more inflation. It's there's a hard cap and that's it. So technically over time, when people lose their coins and send it away, it becomes deflationary. So I think that's bullish. I like that fact. I mean, overall, I think it's fun. Like, I enjoy meme coins. I dabble, I like to play. I like to, I'm a Hexagon. I like to have fun. I'm not a maxi. So yeah, that's really all I've got. I'm curious to see what happens. I like the no whales thing. I agree. I don't think that'll chase away the whales, because I think it'll give them the opportunity to not have as much competition. They don't have to worry about that guy who already got some massive airdrop just like him. And then I don't have to, like, the whales don't have to battle each other. Whoever's got enough cash and really believes in this the most and wants to have some fun, they can just go in and scoop up a whole bunch and just sacrifice big. And then they are at the top. So for people who aren't whales, this could be a whole brand new start. So it all depends on how you look at it. But no, I'm very curious to see what happens with this. No, definitely. It'll be on my my deck screener watch list as soon as it's out.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the game theory is anybody who already sacrificed is gonna hate, if I say something negative, but that, so people who sacrifice, like, you've pretty much got a little army of people to promote for you and like beat up any broadcasters who like say anything negative. I think
we're quite a welcoming community here. We're not toxic.
That's great. That's a new spin. I think that, if you're raising like less than the cost of a Lambo, or like less than $1 million or something like that, like, you're kind of covering your costs in a way that is, I don't think, that much of a negative externality to the community. I mean, people have spent $500,000 on a NASCAR sponsorship, and that supposedly brought in $1 million of stakers. I think the more we can like think about, am I taking money out of the Hex community and like, am I putting it back in somehow? That sort of thing. That's kind of cool. And maybe someday you'll do a chain analysis and you'll show that like you ended up getting a lot more people into PulseChain. Not really sure how you prove that, but maybe Hex or something.
Oh, you could. You could, if you took the addresses from Ethereum that were either, you could do airdropped and sacrificers. You could have two lists. Then when PulseChain comes out, you could like watch those addresses and see if they start accumulating more pulse. So you literally could measure how much it onboards people. It's possible.
You could take a couple dev coins and you could give them out to people, like have the two groups compete, like sacrificers versus free claimers, and see how many of them you could get into Hex, something like that. I mean, you could, and it would, I don't even think it would really take that much to like put back in what you took out, but that would be like a really cool like precedent to set of like, like you said, like the honorable thing to do and everything. But it's not necessary. I'm just like, I'm trying to give you like all the possible game theory I can think of to like make it okay, because we want people to build things and we want those things to onboard people to good things. And maybe, maybe poor pleb is, going to be good for people anyway and stuff. But I think really the game theory is like people will get a 10x and then they'll wreck themselves on the next 10 dog coins that they get into. And if you lead people to hack, if you give people 100x in your coin and then, then they put a tenth of that into Hex or something, now they can't lose, right? Like they're going to win when the meme coin goes up, and they're going to win when Hex goes up. And so in terms of like the whale thing, like, yeah, you're trying something new. Like you're excluding whales. That's a good thing. That's an experiment that needs to be run. Like you're trying to onboard more people with an airdrop than anybody to date in this community. So like, yeah, I applaud that. That's awesome. I think that, yeah, again, going back to like the amount of money, like, what was it? The rate, what are the numbers? I saved it. I saved the numbers. This is good to go over. How much did other projects raise here? So we already know how much like PulseX raised like $1 billion, PulseChain raised like 670 million, and then like Liquid Loans 51 million.
God.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. That one.
Jeez.
Mintra 9.9 million. Fiat, I really don't like those guys because they weren't transparent and open and inclusive. They raised 4.4 million. IMD 1.5 million. And then Hurricash 227,000.
Oh my God, did that rug yet?
Hurry
Is
cash.
that legit? Yeah. I remember seeing that in Telegram like last year. And this guy's like, I'm doing a sack. And I was like one of the first people to comment in there. I'm like, bro, you're going to rug pull, aren't you? Some Anon dev forking something, Tornado Cash, which is already fine. Like, that was hysterical. I can't believe that's a real thing. Wow.
I don't know a lot about it, but I know a few people who went in on it.
I heard they deleted their socials, but maybe they didn't rug.
I saw that come. Dude, I knew it. I could smell that one a mile away.
That's not a good sign, is it? Let's be honest, guys.
Forking Tornado Cash, I knew it, bro. Because it were Anon, man. If the team's anonymous and you don't know who they are, like that money just walks away once they hit a certain level. You know, those guys get bored of working on their side project, forking something that already works. Like, oh.
So their score on Pulse Holist is 75 right now.
Oh my God.
It says a little bit about their reputation on there. You can read for yourself. It's and then that's another one that's not on this list, but what Pulse Holist raised like 1.5 million or something like that. So I think some of the, not all these were created equally. When you have a God founder who isn't, selling HEX tokens and, the OA and all that, like that's unique. That doesn't happen in crypto, right? And so that's no negative externalities. Like you can't beat that. You want me to tell you that you want me to tell you the truth, man? Like, like PulseChain and PulseX are not going to get come after as like securities because they're not securities and they're like way overdue. And like, it's just people like, so that's another way that these like different sacrifices are going to play out differently is like some of them are probably falling more in the gray zone for being unregistered securities. And so, like the biggest one that rug pulls is probably going to get gone after as an example. So you just, if you don't rug pull and, but you really, there might be ways that you could lessen people's expectations that they're actually getting coins. Like that's probably a good thing. Like if you want to be, doing a sacrifice like decreases your reputation score a little bit. But I think the way that you're doing it, where you're not like pulling in you're not pulling in $51 million and no code is written and you can't even give SAC balances out. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's part of what we're doing here is we're like pointing out on Game Theory Gang, like Pulse Holist had sacrifice balances the next day. 1.5 million is like, I don't know. If people put that money into HEX, I think it would do better, but it's not, it's not a huge net negative for the community. What you're doing could onboard hundreds of thousands of people, and it seems like a low cost at this point. It seems like you might raise 300,000 and you might not really get too many people wrecked. So
hopefully I don't get anyone wrecked, mate.
Yeah. Well, you can't control people's behavior, and like, you know, people are going to degen on things, which is why it's so important to like not have expectations. Like people are just getting points. Like this is literally a sacrifice for like the right to be a pleb, which is short for Plebian, which is a really fun vocabulary word that means like you're new at things and you don't know what you're doing. And like, I think you have a lot to work with. I think you can onboard lots of people into PulseChain. I think that, I think your game theory is cool. I think that not giving whales anything is a good experiment to run. And I think that, you're telling people not to sell Hex for it. That's really cool. I really appreciate you saying that. So.
Mate, like I wouldn't be anything without the Hex community. Like this, I'm grateful that because obviously a lot of the money that's come in so far is probably due to my, stature or whatever I've got really within this, and I mean that's always good as well. But yeah, like no one would even know who I was if I wasn't streaming about Hex. So yeah, like I want to do the best I can to ensure as much success as can be for this project, but it is a question of what the market does with it. It's going to be completely out of our hands. Like once it's out there, it's out there. The market will determine the price, whether people buy tops, sell bottoms. Maybe it comes out and just dumps immediately. I have no idea, and that is why I strongly recommend that if you're in Hex, then you're in the right place. That you don't need to go degenning on stuff. Just buy more Hex. But we all know that there are a lot of guys. They degen anyway. They might be Hexicans out here to the public, but they're buying crap behind the scenes and whatever. So I'm hopefully going to give those guys an outlet that might, hopefully save them from getting too wrecked, because I know the intentions that I've got. I want to see this be the best meme coin of the next cycle. I want it to be the #1 meme coin of the next cycle. And the only way it's going to do that is if the community rally behind it. There's always a good amount of, liquidity, and just everything's being done right. As long as everything's done right and we give it the best possible opportunity, then who knows what will happen? Maybe it will do quite well. Maybe it will do shit.
I think the way that you approach it is really going to decide how many people you save from like other communities. And that's why, I'm willing to give you like my stamp of approval, because I like what you're saying. And I like the experiment that you're running. And I think it's not that expensive of an experiment. Like, you did not get rich from Hex. You are a true believer. You are still telling people to buy and stake Hex, even though you're not up on Hex. Like, that's incredible. We need to recognize when people like you and Sticker Guy win and everybody else who like bought the top, and now you're still here and you're doing things that are beneficial, I think, for the space. Like, dude, that's so awesome. And I don't want to shun you just because you're doing a sacrifice, because I really think it's like the cost of like one person buying a Lambo, and really it's like you just paying for devs, and like, it's like, it's worth it. It's a valuable experiment. You could onboard hundreds of thousands of people into PulseChain. So it's people are going to make meme coins anyway. So like, why not have one that is made by an awesome Hexican who is, maybe targeting more other communities other than just the Hex community. And it seems like you already have, you've already raised enough to be able to go out there and do awesome things. And so I think, what I have to say is, like, I think your brand and your style are good enough to go to the other communities and onboard people. I really think like Poor Pleb is like a cool name, and it's a cool meme. And I think you could go out there and like save all the dog people.
Hope so, mate. Hope so. But yeah, no, I appreciate your comments, and in terms of the sacrifice and stuff like that, I gotta be honest, man. I wish we didn't have to do one. I really do. I wish we could just do it, but I am the epitome of my brand. I am Poor Pleb. How are you supposed to do anything with nothing? You just can't do it. It's physically impossible. I know that there are a lot of things that have come out and been free claims to Hexicans, and that's great, and I applaud those guys. But if you want things to be successful, you cannot do it with nothing. You just can't. So yeah, obviously no expectations, blah blah blah. But yeah, you can't do it with nothing, and especially if you want to go and hit these guys. Let me give you guys an example. Yeah, so I'm trying to get in touch with all these YouTubers who deal with other stuff. Shiba Inu, Floki Inu. You send them a message, they literally reply back with a price list. They will not even talk to you, look at your project, anything, unless you're willing to pay for it. And it's not cheap either, guys. It's a lot of it's expensive. And I'm a stingy guy. Like I've always been I've always had this like entrepreneurial spirit, this like business edge to me, where I'm trying to look for good deals and stuff like that. Man, I ain't seen any good deals coming out of this. I haven't seen any good deals. Like no YouTuber who has emailed me back on anything has offered me a good deal. I don't think. I actually think this is more beneficial for their community than it is for me if they talk about it. This is going to help their people. It's free money for their people, but they don't want to talk about it unless you pay them first. And that just sums up the industry in general. That's what it's like. These guys will promote anything, any scam, rug pull, whatever you want, as long as you pay them first. And it's disgusting, but it's just the way that the industry is, man. But you want to get people talking about your coin, you just generally can't get it for free. So, I'm not trying to give expectations, but you know, that's just one of the avenues that like we're looking at things. And yeah, man, it's gross. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like paid media, and you know, but hey, I know a couple guys who have I don't know, like 50, 100,000, 150,000 subs on YouTube that would probably be willing to like stream with you. And so maybe we could hook you up there for free.
Sick. That would be amazing, mate. Yeah, that would be really, really cool. I would welcome that. I'll stream with anyone, man. Day and night, whatever. Right now, we're just on this like full-on marketing push. So yeah, I'm all about that, man. If you can hook me up, that's awesome.
For sure, for sure. There's like one of them is Mike, the investor, who was on the Pulse conference. These are all guys I met at the Bitcoin conference, and like, they love the idea of PulseChain. Like they're coming around on HEX, but I think like they need something in between. They need a bridge. And I think what you're doing could be it. So
awesome.
Yeah. We'll try to get you on their shows, and like let's just replace all the dumb YouTubers who want to take bribes to get on their streams. Like let's just, you know, let's get the word out to people organically beyond just the HEX community. I think that could I think to get more people into HEX and PulseChain, we need steps in between.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And that's exactly where the idea for this came from. Is I don't, and this is no shade on Richard or anything, but I just don't think Richard is going for the meme coin crowd in any real way. He's going for like the serious crypto heads, and that's fine, because that's, you know, that's a large percentage of the market. But I just see a gap where those guys are not going to find this, you know. So if we can, like you say, bridge that gap somehow, then everyone's a winner, really. So yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, next week I'm hoping that one of the people who's listening now would be willing to be our guest. We you know, we want to showcase some of the people who are the hardest workers in HEX. And I have to say, Bitfinesse is like top. He's like the apex Hexican. He, you know, like could have retired a long time ago, but he's been driving insane hours, you know, like all day, every day, driving his truckloads of God knows what, earning more money to buy HEX. And he's been slapping stickers on gas pumps. Oh, wait, no, we don't know that. That's no, that was
allegedly.
But he came up with the whole idea that, you know, HEX is going to pump, so you need HEX on the gas pump itself.
That's funny.
I mean, he's been doing this for months and months. I mean, it could be years at this point. This dude is amazing. So I know he's listening right now. Dude, Bitfinesse, I would love to have you on next week as our guest. So hopefully you'll be available. But Hexy B, you've been amazing. We appreciate you. This has been a great episode. So thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, appreciate having you guys having me on, man. It's been a great chat. Thanks a lot.
Of course.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, because sometimes we run into each other on Cabana's happy hour, sometimes on Friday, don't we?
I think those Cabana guys might like PP, you know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. I just get this feeling, you know.
So where can people go to learn more about all of us?
Yeah, so if you're interested in Poor Pleb, the website is poorpleb.win. If you want to join the Telegram group and ask some questions, it's t.me/poorplebwin. You can find me on Twitter at HexyBastard. That's about it, really. But like I said earlier, if anyone has any ideas for other communities that we can hit with this thing, then my DMs are open, man. Hit me. I want to get as many people as possible interested in this thing. Targeted marketing is the way.
Awesome. And everybody go right now and follow David Feeder on all the links in the description below. We've also got links for Hexy B down there as well, Twitter and YouTube. So go subscribe to everybody and, let your loved ones know about Hex and about TShares, about sending money to your future self, and about all the ways that people can get airdrops and get free money to onboard people using this individualized approach of what's going to get people closer to Hex and to PulseChain. So that's our call to action. Hit the like and the subscribe button, and I guess until next time, everybody. Stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Yep. See you next week.